The Honeymooners was the ultimate 1950s sitcom about the American dream. But for many of its stars, that dream turned into a living nightmare. One was abandoned by his father as a child, and another had her career destroyed overnight by Hollywood politics. They all ended in some of the most tragic endings in classic TV history. Stay tuned as we uncover the secrets Hollywood tried to bury. Art Carney as Ed Norton. Art Carney was born on November 4, 1918, in Mount Vernon, New York, USA. At 37 years old, he played Ed Norton, the lovable, chaotic sewer worker in The Honeymooners. His character wasn't just comic relief, it was the emotional counterweight to Ralph Kramden, turning simple sketches into something that felt unexpectedly real and human. Outside the series, Carney would later shock Hollywood with a completely different level of depth in Harry and Tonto, proving he was far more than a sitcom actor. That warmth on screen hid a marriage history shaped by separation, collapse, and strange reconciliation. His first marriage to Jean Myers began in 1940, producing 3 children, but the pressure of fame, constant travel, and internal struggles slowly pulled them apart, leading to divorce in 1965. In a twist few expected, they remarried in 1980, as if trying to repair a life that had already been fractured for decades. But the real battle was inside him. War changed everything. During World War II and the Normandy campaign, he was injured by shrapnel, leaving one leg permanently shorter. That injury followed him for life, feeding chronic pain and emotional exhaustion. To cope, he fell into years of alcohol dependency and substance struggles, at times relying on barbiturates and stimulants while trying to maintain his career on television and stage. Art Carney passed away on November 9, 2003, at the age of 85 in Chester, Connecticut, dying peacefully in a nursing home. He was buried at Riverside Cemetery in Old Saybrook. His net worth was estimated around $5 million, built through decades of television success and award-winning film work, including his Oscar-winning performance in Harry and Tonto. In 2026, Carney is remembered not just as Ed Norton, but as one of the most emotionally real actors of his generation, someone who turned pain into performance without ever needing to explain it. Jackie Gleason as Ralph Kramden. Jackie Gleason was born on February 26, 1916, in Brooklyn, New York, USA. At 39 years old, he played Ralph Kramden, the explosive, dream-chasing bus driver in The Honeymooners. His performance didn't just define the show. It created the emotional blueprint of working-class sitcom comedy and turned frustration into pure entertainment. Outside television, Gleason was already rising through Hollywood with films like The Hustler, where his presence felt just as commanding, but far darker. But behind that on-screen dominance, his marriage life was far from stable, and that tension often mirrored the anger seen in Ralph Kramden. His first marriage to Genevieve Halford became a silent battlefield, stretched thin by fame, nightlife, and emotional distance. Even while he was building his legacy through the Jackie Gleason show, his home life was collapsing in slow motion. Later marriages to Beverly McKittrick and Marilyn Taylor followed a similar pattern. Intense beginnings, followed by emotional breakdowns that never truly healed. That inner pressure didn't stay private. Gleason's body slowly started paying the price during the peak of his career, especially while working on projects like Smokey and the Bandit. Years of heavy smoking, alcohol dependence, and extreme eating habits pushed his health into a dangerous decline. By the time he reached his later years, doctors had already warned him about serious risks linked to cancer and cardiovascular damage. Jackie Gleason passed away on June 24, 1987, at the age of 71 in Florida, from complications of colon and liver cancer. He was buried in Miami at Our Lady of Mercy Catholic Cemetery in a mausoleum marked by his famous line, "And away we go." At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated around $10 million. In 2026, his legacy still stands as one of television's most explosive and unforgettable performances, where comedy and chaos lived in the same breath. Audrey Meadows as Alice Cramden. Audrey Meadows was born on February 8, 1922 in New York City, USA. At 33 years old, she played Alice Cramden, the sharp, intelligent, and emotionally grounded wife of Ralph in The Honeymooners. Her presence completely reshaped the dynamic of the show, turning Alice into the true emotional anchor that balanced Ralph's explosive personality and made the comedy feel painfully real. Her path to the role was not smooth at all. Jackie Gleason initially rejected her because she looked too elegant to play the wife of a struggling bus driver. Determined to change that impression, she returned the next day with plain clothes, no makeup, and a deliberately modest appearance. That decision changed everything and secured her the role that would define her legacy. Outside the show, she also appeared in productions like Alfred Hitchcock Presents, and later became a successful business figure, including serving as a bank director in Denver, a rare achievement for a television actress of her time. Behind her calm screen image, Meadows experienced a life marked by emotional pressure and health struggles. Her first marriage ended in separation before she later married businessman Randolph Rouse, followed by a second marriage to Robert Six, chairman of Continental Airlines. While this relationship brought financial stability, her identity as Alice Cramden often overshadowed her career, making it difficult for her to break free from that iconic role. The pressure of being permanently associated with one character quietly limited her artistic opportunities for decades. Audrey Meadows passed away on February 3, 1996, at the age of 73 in Los Angeles, after being diagnosed with lung cancer in her final years. She chose to avoid aggressive treatment and spent her last moments in palliative care. She was buried at Holy Cross Cemetery in California, alongside her husband Robert Six. Her net worth was estimated around $3 million, reflecting both her acting career and later business success. In 2026, she is remembered as the emotional heart of The Honeymooners, the woman who gave Alice Cramden her unforgettable strength, intelligence, and humanity. George Petri as Fred. George Petri was born on November 16, 1912, in New Haven, Connecticut, USA. At 43 years old, he played Fred, a supporting recurring character in The Honeymooners, adding small but essential comedic texture to the chaotic world around Ralph Cramden. His presence helped strengthen the realism of the show's working-class environment, making even minor scenes feel grounded and believable. Outside the series, Petri built a long career across television and stage, later becoming widely recognized for his recurring role as Harve Smithfield in Dallas. Petri maintained a stable family life with his wife Patricia, with whom he had 2 children, balancing steady work in Hollywood while avoiding the spotlight of major stardom. Even as he appeared in films like Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, 1987, and Baby Boom, 1987, he remained a familiar supporting presence rather than a headline name. His career reflected the life of a true working actor, consistently active but rarely placed at the center of attention. Throughout his decades in the industry, Petri also appeared in numerous television classics, such as Perry Mason, The Twilight Zone, and The Andy Griffith Show, where his versatility allowed him to adapt to both drama and comedy. These roles reinforced his reputation as one of Hollywood's most reliable character actors, even if he never reached leading man fame. George Petri passed away on November 16, 1997, on his 85th birthday in Los Angeles, due to lymphoma. He was survived by his wife Patricia and their children. His net worth was estimated around $1.5 million, earned through decades of steady film and television work. In 2026, he is remembered as a quiet but essential presence in American television history, especially for his work in Dallas and his supporting role in The Honeymooners. Joyce Randolph as Trixie Norton. Joyce Randolph was born on October 21, 1924, in Detroit, Michigan, USA. At 31 years old, she played Trixie Norton, the cheerful and quietly observant wife of Ed Norton in The Honeymooners. Her role added balance to the chaotic humor of the show, grounding the story with a softer, more realistic portrayal of working-class family life that helped complete the iconic quartet. Her early career began in theater and live performances before she was discovered by Jackie Gleason and brought into his television world. However, unlike her co-stars, Randolph's marriage life remained relatively private and stable. She married Richard Charles in 1955, and together they raised one son, Randolph Richard Charles. Their marriage lasted until his death in 1997, a rare long-term stability in the entertainment world that quietly defined her personal life. Despite the success of the Honeymooners, Randolph faced one of the harshest industry realities: typecasting. After the role of Trixie Norton, she struggled to find major acting opportunities because casting directors could not separate her from the character. Even as she appeared occasionally in commercials and guest roles, including a 1991 revival appearance, her career never reached beyond the shadow of Trixie, limiting her professional expansion. Joyce Randolph passed away on January 13, 2024, at the age of 99 in Manhattan from natural causes. She was the last surviving member of the original Honeymooners cast. At the time of her passing, her net worth was estimated around $2 million, built from acting work and long-term financial stability later in life. In 2026, she is remembered as the final living link to the classic quartet, a quiet but essential part of television history, whose legacy closed an entire golden era of comedy. Frank Marth as Mr. McGregor. Frank Marth was born on July 29, 1922, in Manhattan, New York City, USA. At 33 years old, he played Mr. McGregor, one of the recurring supporting characters in The Honeymooners, often appearing in chaotic situations alongside Ralph and Ed. His performances helped amplify the comedic tension of the show, especially in scenes involving misunderstandings, robberies, and Ralph's constant attempts to prove himself. Beyond The Honeymooners, Marth built an extensive television career with appearances in Perry Mason, The Wild Wild West, and Mannix. Marth was married to Hope Holliday from 1967 until his death in 2014, and together they maintained a long and steady marriage throughout decades of Hollywood work. While continuing his acting career, he appeared in films such as Madigan, 1968, Marooned, 1969, and The Dirty Dozen, 1967, where he consistently took on strong supporting roles that kept him active across both film and television. His career was defined by constant presence rather than stardom, with appearances in shows like Hogan's Heroes, Mission Impossible, The Fugitive, and Dallas, where he became one of the most familiar recurring faces of classic American television. This steady stream of roles made him a dependable figure in the industry, even without leading man recognition. Frank Marth passed away on January 12, 2014, at the age of 91 in Rancho Mirage, California, due to congestive heart failure and Alzheimer's disease. He was survived by his wife, Hope Holliday, and his net worth was estimated around $1 million, earned through decades of consistent television and film work. In 2026, he is remembered as one of Hollywood's most enduring character actors, especially for his long association with the Honeymooners universe. Eddie Kaine as Mr. Monahan. Eddie Kaine was born on August 12, 1889, in St. Louis, Missouri, USA. At 67 years old, he played Mr. Monahan, the Gotham Bus Company boss in The Honeymooners, a role that placed him directly in Ralph Cramden's stressful working world. His calm authority added realism to the workplace setting, grounding Ralph's chaotic ambitions in a believable system of rules and consequences. Kaine's life was built on decades of performance dating back to the silent film era, where he appeared in over 250 productions. He began in vaudeville as part of the Kaine and Herman duo before transitioning into Hollywood, where he appeared in legendary films such as Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, 1939, Yankee Doodle Dandy, 1942, and It's a Wonderful Life, 1946. These roles made him one of the most consistent supporting faces in classic American cinema. Unlike many stars, Kaine's career was defined by longevity rather than stardom. He worked steadily through both the golden age of Hollywood and early television, often appearing in small but essential roles that supported larger narratives. His work in The Broadway Melody, 1929, one of the first Best Picture winners, and later in The Ten Commandments, 1956, showed how his career spanned multiple eras of film history. Eddie Kaine passed away on April 30th, 1969, in Los Angeles at the age of 80, due to a heart attack. His net worth was estimated around $200,000, reflecting a long but modestly rewarded career. In 2026, he is remembered as a true Hollywood veteran, a performer whose career quietly bridged silent cinema, golden age classics, and early television, leaving behind a legacy woven through nearly a century of American film history. Jack Lescoulie as announcer. Jack Lescoulie was born on November 17, 1912 in Sacramento, California, USA. At 43 years old, he played the announcer, the familiar voice that introduces and bridges segments in The Honeymooners. His role may seem small, but it helped shape the rhythm of the show, giving the series its live broadcast energy and grounding the chaos of Ralph Kramden's world in a realistic television format. His personal life was shaped by the extreme demands of early television broadcasting. As one of the pioneers of live TV, he often worked exhausting hours with constant format changes, especially during the unstable evolution of morning television in the 1950s and 60s. He was married to Virginia, with whom he had 2 children, and although his family life remained relatively private, his career placed him under constant pressure due to the unpredictable nature of live broadcasting and shifting network expectations. Lescoulie's greatest struggle was not scandal or illness, but professional instability. As television formats rapidly changed, especially with NBC restructuring today, his role continuously shifted from announcer to host, reporter, and side commentator. Even though he remained a trusted voice in projects with Jackie Gleason and later educational programming like 1, 2, 3, Go, he eventually stepped away from the demanding schedule, stating he could no longer handle the early morning pressure of live television. Jack Lescoulie passed away on July 22, 1987, at the age of 74 in Memphis, Tennessee, due to colon cancer. He was survived by his wife, Virginia, and their 2 children. His net worth was estimated around $1 million, earned through decades of radio and pioneering television work. In 2026, he is remembered as one of the foundational voices of American broadcasting, a man who helped shape the early identity of live television, including his quiet but important presence in The Honeymooners. Ned Glass as Teddy Oberman. Ned Glass was born on April 1, 1906, in Radom, Poland, and later emigrated to the United States, where he built his career in Hollywood. At 49 years old, he played Teddy Oberman, a recurring supporting character in The Honeymooners, often used to amplify the tension and chaotic humor surrounding Ralph Kramden's world. His nervous, sharp-edged screen presence made even small appearances memorable, adding a layer of unpredictability to the show's comedic rhythm. His personal life and career were deeply shaped by one of Hollywood's darkest periods. During the McCarthy era, Glass was placed on the Hollywood blacklist due to suspected communist affiliations, which abruptly interrupted his career and forced him into years of limited opportunities. Despite this, he managed to rebuild his career through sheer persistence, later appearing in major films such as West Side Story, 1961, and Charade, 1963, where his distinctive nervous persona became his trademark. Over time, Glass became known as a reliable character actor across both film and television, frequently cast in roles such as frightened clerks, suspicious neighbors, or morally ambiguous figures. His long career included appearances in The Phil Silvers Show, North by Northwest, and The Fugitive, showing his ability to remain relevant despite earlier setbacks. However, the blacklist years left a permanent shadow over his professional trajectory, limiting his rise to leading roles. Ned Glass passed away on June 15, 1984, at the age of 78 in Encino, California, after a long illness. His net worth was estimated around $500,000, earned through decades of steady but often under-recognized character work. In 2026, he is remembered as one of Hollywood's most distinctive supporting actors, a man whose nervous energy and resilience turned even the smallest roles into unforgettable screen moments. Pert Kelton as Alice Cramden. Pert Kelton was born on October 14, 1907, in Great Falls, Montana, USA. At 43 years old, she played Alice Cramden, the original version of Ralph's sharp and outspoken wife in early The Honeymooners sketches. Her performance defined the first emotional blueprint of Alice, bringing a biting realism and street-smart humor that later shaped one of television's most iconic female characters. Her career was deeply shattered by the Hollywood blacklist era, which abruptly removed her from the Honeymooners after she was accused of communist ties. Despite having built a strong career in films like The Bowery, 1933, and Bed of Roses, 1933, where she was praised for her bold comedic energy, she suddenly found herself professionally isolated. The role of Alice was taken away from her, and she was replaced by Audrey Meadows, a decision officially blamed on health issues, but driven by political pressure. The impact of the blacklist destroyed her Hollywood momentum and forced her to rebuild her career through radio and theater. She later appeared in The Music Man on Broadway and reprised the role in its 1962 film adaptation, showing her resilience despite years of industry rejection. However, the emotional toll of being erased from a defining role remained a lasting shadow over her legacy. Pert Kelton passed away on October 30, 1968, at the age of 61 in New Jersey from a heart attack while swimming. She left behind a modest career legacy, with an estimated net worth around $500,000. In 2026, she is remembered as the tragic original Alice Cramden, a talented actress whose career was dramatically cut short by political persecution, yet whose performance helped create one of television's greatest characters, Leslie Barrett as George. Leslie Barrett was born on October 30, 1919, in New York City, USA. At 37 years old, he played George, Harvey's close friend in The Honeymooners, specifically appearing in the episode The Bensonhurst Bomber. His role, though small, helped expand the social world around Ralph Cramden, adding depth to the comedy through grounded, everyday interactions. Barrett's personal life was shaped by two marriages. His first marriage to Diana Barth ended in divorce, while his second marriage to actress Ruth Livingston lasted until her passing in 2010. Unlike many Hollywood actors, Barrett remained deeply connected to the stage throughout his life, co-founding the American Mime Theater in 1952 and continuing to perform Shakespearean roles under Joseph Papp's direction, including Much Ado About Nothing and As You Like It. His career was defined more by theater than screen fame, though he maintained a steady presence in television. He appeared in shows such as The Twilight Zone, Dennis the Menace, Dark Shadows, and numerous early live television dramas like Philco Television Playhouse. These roles highlighted his versatility, even if he never became a mainstream television star. Leslie Barrett passed away on June 8, 2010, at the age of 91 in Englewood, New Jersey. His net worth was estimated around $500,000, accumulated through decades of stage work and television appearances. In 2026, he is remembered as a lifelong theater performer whose dedication to stage acting defined his career. George Neise as Mr. Faversham. George Neise was born on February 16, 1917, in Chicago, Illinois, USA. At 39 years old, he played Mr. Faversham, the theatrical director who convinces Ralph Cramden to take on a stage role in The Honeymooners. His appearance, though brief, adds a sharp layer of pressure and irony to Ralph's chaotic attempt at acting, turning a simple sketch into a full comedy of failure and ambition. Neise's personal life reflected a long, complicated journey through 2 marriages. He first married Lorna Thayer in 1943, with whom he had 2 children before divorcing in 1946. Later, he married Danielle Dreyer in 1966, and together they had 3 children, though the relationship eventually ended in separation in 1985. His life off-screen remained relatively private, but his constant movement between marriages and career demands reflected the instability of a working Hollywood character actor. Professionally, Neise built a reputation for playing intelligent authority figures, military officers, and subtle antagonists across both film and television. He appeared in classics like The Rifleman, Have Gun, Will Travel, The Twilight Zone, and multiple episodes of Perry Mason, where he was often cast as a suspect or victim in murder plots. This consistent typecasting gave him steady work, but also limited his range in leading roles. George Neise passed away on April 14, 1996, in Los Angeles, at the age of 79 due to cancer. His net worth was estimated around $800,000 US, earned through decades of supporting roles in film and television. In 2026, he is remembered as a dependable Hollywood character actor, leaving behind a legacy of over 120 screen appearances. That's the story of the Honeymooners, 1955, cast then and now. From Jackie Gleason's explosive comedy to Art Carney's heartfelt humor, Audrey Meadows' sharp brilliance, and Joyce Randolph's quiet charm, each of them brought something unforgettable to the screen. Many of their real lives were filled with struggles, pressure, and personal battles that the audience never fully saw. So when you look back at them today, are they just characters in an old sitcom? Or the reason classic television still feels alive decades later? If you enjoyed this journey through the Honeymooners, don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more then and now stories that reveal the hidden lives behind Hollywood's most legendary shows. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video. Goodbye.